The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk, show 101 and the first show after the election. I'm Chip.
I'm CJ.
And I'm Carlos.
And boy, is it going to be a hot show today.
Whoa-wee, wowie, we got a lot of things to talk about.
Well, let's talk about this election, is right.
Wow.
All right, total number of votes cast, unofficially, 16,344 votes. Total number of registered voters in Fall River is 47,169, which does equate to about a 34% turnout, which is very good. Very, very good. But still piss poor. I'm sorry, Fall River, you suck.
It's kind of a contradiction. Very good, but it's piss poor.
Well, for Fall River, that's better than normal.
It's relative.
Yeah, but Fall River, you're piss poor because this is sad. All right? I do not want to tout 34% as being, yay, we did it. But let's look at the mayor's race. Jasiel Correia, 8,268 votes. C. Samuel Sutter, 7,621 votes. That means it's a difference of 647 votes. It's not a raging margin, but you know what? It's a win. And that's all that matters at this point. You know, the problem, Chip, and Carlos, and you know this. Let's look at the history of Fall River. Bob Correia implemented a CSO fee. Gone 1 year. Will Flanagan implemented a pay-as-you-throw fee. Gone. Sam Sutter implemented a sanitation fee. Gone. So, those who do not learn from history are destined to repeat it. And this is the sad part about it. And the fact that we currently have a mayor that still doesn't even know where the people are says a lot, because, you know, we joke about it. Oh, we found the mayor's office, but you know, you represent the people. What part of the Massachusetts Constitution don't the elected officials understand?
Well, I think the issue, you know, we've proven it. We're going to go way back in history to the guy who said it best, Napoleon Bonaparte, when he said, "The two levers that move men are fear and self-interest." Well, when you attack somebody's pocketbook, it's the maximum self-interest. And, you know, as we've said throughout this, almost since his first month in office, Sam Sutter doesn't seem to understand that people in Fall River just can't afford to be just inundated with more taxes and fees with no attempt to find money in any other source, whether it's reorganization of government or you know, streamlining of various departments and you know, and doing some inventive things to relieve the burden. In the old days, we had a lot of homeowners and it was really quick, but now it took a lot of effort, and I think that's the reason we got 34. But don't forget, 34 is still 56% of the people didn't vote. That's more than half. So that's not good. And, you know, but they irritated the people enough and they attacked their pocketbook. And I think that probably 8,268 people looked at their trash collection fee bill before they went to the polls. And, you know, the reality is that, you know, you can't continually ignore the people. And it's not a wide margin. It's not a mandate. But, you know, let's face it, Sam Sutter was an incumbent. He'd only been in 10 months. Normally that gives a person a really huge advantage. Most people will say, well, give him a chance. He played that card. I'm working on it. Flanagan, it worked for Flanagan. My entire first term was a mess, but re-elect me and I'll do better, which he didn't. And he still got a third term. But then the magic happened. He imposed a fee, the bags, and that was the final straw. But, you know, it is what it is, and we had a total disconnect with the people of Fall River. Mayor-elect Correia seems to be able to connect with people. He doesn't hide in a bunker. He mixes. So let's hope that this is the beginning of a change. And we're going to be watching closely, because I think we've got a new man. I think it's historic, because I think this may be the first time, maybe even in recorded history, when we had 3 mayors or mayor-elects within less than a 12-month period.
Oh, I agree.
Because when you think about it, Flanagan was ousted and Sutter was sworn in at the end of 14, but you might as well say it was almost 15, because it was the December 29th or 30th when he got sworn in. But then you got him, and then that was in December. And 11 months later, we went from Flanagan to Sutter to Correia in less than a year. Not a calendar year, but within a 12-month period. So, I mean, I think that's epic. And I think, Fall River gets whacked for a lot of things, but I think we sent a message to a lot of people, even the people in Lawrence, and we'll talk about that later, that, look, we're beginning to see a trend. If you don't do your job, especially as the mayor, you're going to be out. If you don't satisfy the people, even though under normal circumstances you would say he was unbeatable, he's only been in a year, that people are going to give him a chance. People, they tried everything. They tried the Amazon deal. They tried the Harbor Mall deal. They tried the inexperience card. They did everything. But there was still enough people that said, look, it's not going to happen. And that trend continued down into the city council, where we got rid of 3 incumbents, but it wasn't good enough. But we'll talk about that if once we're done with the mayor's race. So basically, look, now it's, the election is over. Now it's time to see if we're going to move forward collectively as a city and take a new direction. And that direction has to be, in my opinion, it has to be a complete overhaul of the government. Look at every position in every department, look at the performance, look at the redundancies, and cut all the fat out of this government, demand accountability, and be ready to stand up and take the heat and do what we've got to do to move the city in a different direction. And that direction is not every time we spend every dime we have and then go back to the taxpayer for money. We spend our money wisely.
But you're right, Chip. But the thing is, let's talk about this sanitation fee. And I'm not defending anybody. Next Tuesday, I believe, is the DOR hearing on certifying our tax rate. Now, the sanitation fee was implemented for a lot of reasons, okay? Whatever they may be. But the big reason, which nobody talked about, and I think this was a big mistake during this campaign for everybody, including Jasiel, okay, was the fact that DOR said this account has been in existence for 6 or 8 years and has never been self-sufficient. The only thing Jasiel said about it was, it shouldn't be self-sufficient. We shouldn't even have it. And I can agree with that. But the account existed. And because it existed, and under the law, it must be self-sufficient, they said, if you don't get it self-sufficient, we're not going to certify your tax rate. No certifying a tax rate, no revenue. No revenue, no police, no fire. Let's put the blanket on the street. So let's be real about this. We need to look at every issue and every outcome. Now, should they have just said, instead of putting the sanitation fee in place, say, we're going to get rid of that enterprise fund altogether? Yes, that is what I think they should have done. And that would have gone a long way. But when the politicians fail to understand that your opinion, and I'm going to make a t-shirt that says this, your opinion does not matter. You represent me. They need to understand that. And you get the political whores who were all out last night that called Jasiel everything but, a communist, but they were down at Remy's, I love you, I love you, I love you, oh, I can't wait to work with you. It's kind of sad to see that. And it doesn't give me any faith in those people that were elected to the city council.
Well, we're going to have to, we'll save the breakdown, I guess, for another show, because we've got to really kind of like look at this whole thing in context. And the point you just made is graphically demonstrated in the city council race, which we'll get to once we're done. But I know Carlos wants to say something about the mayoral race.
No, I mean, again, I just want to congratulate Jasiel on this victory. We can call it a victory. And I really think that now he has a chance to do what we all expect and start from the beginning, getting himself surrounded with the right people that the community know who they are. They don't come out of town, they're from town. People can connect to everyone on the transition team that can be contacted. You don't have to call secretaries to get in touch with a person. That's what I think. That's what I expect from Jasiel. And before we go down, let me just say this. And I read this on the paper this morning that Mayor Sada is mentioning that he lost the election because of the $10 fee. Personally, I don't think that was the $10 fee. Personally, I think from day one in office, he's been told that he needs to connect to people. He never did it since day one. Number two, he went on a recycling bin and he tried to recycle even mayors that we had voted out to be part of the transition team, which people were not satisfied with, people were not happy with. Then he failed to get phone calls returned, even to state representatives. I mean, it's not just the Fall River resident that he was not getting back. He was not getting back into state representatives that in Boston need to get in touch with him, and they could not be in touch with him for at least 2 days. I know that for a fact because they tell me. So all of this played a big part of his loss yesterday.
Well, I agree.
$10.
I think that the trash collection fee was the straw, again, that broke the camel's back, like the bags were the straw that broke Flanagan's back. Flanagan's, the stormwater fee, Coogan Gate, there were a whole myriad of things that people were festering about. Mm-hmm. And then the bags, when you attack the pocketbook, it finally, it finally hits home. When you get to the pocketbook, and this is what happened. You're right. Sam sort of never really connected with the people. He was an absentee mayor, many people said. And so then the fee, once you take money, they begin to pay attention, and he came out. So with that, let's move on to the city council race, because I got a little bit to say about that.
No, not you, Chip.
Oh, yeah. We had three former councilors
Oh,
ousted.
your pet rock is gone.
Yeah, I'm devastated. But she's got 2 new cars to drive around
That's
anyway.
right.
What
That's
the
right.
heck?
Yeah. But this didn't surprise me, this outcome. And the funny thing is, the voting bloc remains intact. You still have Linda Pereira, you have Joe Camara, you have Ray Mitchell, and you add to that voting bloc Sean Cadine, and most likely Richard Cabaceres and Cliff Ponte, which means whatever they want to happen can happen, because they have the number of votes to make it happen. And you know what? That's where the people of Fall River again failed. They did not create a diverse city council to represent the people. And to be honest, I hate to say it, but I think we're going to throw Pamela Laliberte-Lebeau in there, because she's been a political hack, most of her career as a neighborhood leader.
Well, let's take a close look. I tend to, I mean, I've got to give them a little credit. They got rid of 3,
right,
really entrenched city councils. I mean, Leo's been there forever. Pat Casey has been like the obelisk in the corner, sitting there doing nothing. And Dan Rego was the only one of the set of sellouts to be ousted, and that bothered me because You know, Ray Mitchell barely made it in by the skin of his teeth. But it just goes to show how people, you know, they want change, but they think if you change the mayor, that fixes everything, because Linda's finish, third, you know, basically, shows that they were totally not paying attention. How can you get rid of Dan Rego and almost get rid of Ray Mitchell and have her at the top of the pack? You know, it's because they listen to political rhetoric. You know, she, last night, she said, I was mad at her, and I'm, you know, and I said, I'm not mad at you. You know, it was like, you know, she said, oh, you don't call me. I had to, you know, actually she calls me most of the time, as you know, CJ, because you
Yes,
got a lot
she
of
does.
calls from her.
Yeah.
But that's not the point.
And she stopped calling me as well.
But yeah, she stopped calling me right after the budget vote. So,
Right.
But the fact is, then she said, well, I'm loyal. And I didn't want to have that debate in the middle of a hall full of celebrators that was celebrating Jasiel's victory when she showed up late, and then she's saying everything she did was because of loyalty. Well, it's just like saying sometimes I vote for things I know are wrong because you have to. No, you don't have to.
Right.
Because I'm going to say this for the record. Loyalty is secondary to integrity. And loyalty is secondary to your obligation to abide by the Constitution and represent the people you were elected to. Because if loyalty was a valid excuse, every Nazi war criminal would have beat their rap.
I was just thinking Nuremberg.
Because they said, hey, we were loyal to the Fuhrer.
That's right.
We were loyal. We were following orders. And you know something? There comes a time when what you're doing is wrong. And how many times do we have to tell people that you don't do what you want when you're in those seats? You don't do what the mayor wants. You're there to do is what is in the best interest of the taxpayers of the city of Fall River and the residents of the city of Fall River. Not you know, you're not there for political reasons. You're not there for you know, you're there to represent the people. And it's not agreeing with the mayor all the time. As we said, if the mayor's right, by all means, support the mayor. Support what he's doing. But if he's wrong, have the courage and the integrity to stand up and say, this is not the right thing for the people of Fall River. And there are people that do that and I mean, never do that. Sorry. And she's at the top of the ticket. And it's like, you can't use those excuses.
No.
And hopefully the public will now realize, and all these new people, and you know, they are well known, some of them through neighborhood associations or through whatever, and they have connect, so they got in. But there are a whole bunch of people just below them who really put forward some good ideas and I encouraged a few of those people who I saw not to give up and to run again in 2 years, because you know something? We're going to be watching what happens in the mayor's office, and we're going to hold him accountable as we hold everybody, but we're going to hold this city council accountable. We got rid of 1/3 of the city council, which is pretty good.
But you know,
But we've got to look at this and now focus your attention on watching what they do, and if need be, in 2 years, we're going to have to replace a few of these people if they don't do the right thing. If they do the right thing, let them stay in. But as I said, it's perplexing for me to see Danny Rego out of the mix.
and the
But
other
Ray
two
Mitchell and Ray Mitchell was it was close. It came in by but I mean still, you know, if you would say, well, they got rid of the mayor, they didn't like the mayor. These three people were so tight with the mayor, you would figure that they would be out, they would be in the same boat sinking with them. But you look and it shows how people really have a different opinion of the council. And we continue to tell you, the council has the purse strings, and who knows, after the charter changes, they may be even more powerful. So you don't want rubber stamps on a city council. You want independent thinkers who are representing the people of Fall River.
But they never do. And I mean, let's stop right at the top with Sean Kadimi, came in #1. This is the man that everyone in Fall River, 8,212 people said, oh no, Sean Kadim's the guy that saves Fall River. Sean Kadim is the guy who hid the window gate issue. Sean Kadim is the guy who gave the fire department such a beneficial contract that it bankrupted the overtime budget. Sean Kadim did these things. And he's not going to stand on the tack that I followed orders. Okay, I am so tired of hearing that. Linda Pereira said to me prior to this election, she says, you don't seem to understand. Sometimes you have to vote for it. No, that's bull. Sometimes you have to say no. Even if you're the voice of one, we've said this before on this show, even if you're the voice of one who said no, and Dan Rego did that 2 years ago or a year ago, hey, you know what? Sometimes you have to be the voice of one. It's that simple. And let's not even get into the Charter Commission, because you know what? It passed. I'm very happy for them. But I'll guarantee you they spent $250,000 or more, and the only thing coming out of that is going to be the charter will be reviewed every 5 or 10 years, because that's all Mike Mioza and Chris Bartley wanted, both of whom were on the commission, and they're afraid if they put anything else in there, they won't get the charter passed. And you know what? That it has no guts, no backbone, and that is selling out the people of Fall River.
I have to say that I'm going into a new year, a new mayor, confident that that I'm going to trust these people that got elected. I'm going to trust. I don't want to see a bubblehead, like we call them, a bubblehead on the city council. We are giving these people sometimes a second chance to do their job when they got elected. I'm not surprised with Linda being in there. I said it before, I said it on my show, and I already said it on this show, because Linda even voted against something that I was trying to do. And I respected her, I had respect from her, for her then, and I still have respect for her today, because at least I know who I'm dealing with. She's not going to vote it in favor just to put it back on my. But this, again, is my opinion. It's my personal experience with Linda. Been saying that, I'm not surprised that Linda made it into the night.
Well, I'm not surprised either, Carlos, but that's not the point. The point is that, look, they've all got a clean slate. I don't care what you say, what you say about Kadim, and their history is their history. Now we have to see if the adage, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. So we're going to give them all a clean slate. Mm-hmm. But the fact is, Linda Perez said she wouldn't have voted for the budget that Will Flanagan. She absolutely wouldn't have voted for that budget. Yet she voted for the budget that had the same fee that Flanagan and additional fees, because she was a loyalist, in her own words. A loyalist. Didn't have any, I don't dislike Linda personally, but she makes too many excuses for making bad votes. You make a bad vote, it's a bad vote. You can't say, I had to do it. You don't have to do it. You can be a minority. Every parliamentary procedure allows a minority report. So you can be a majority of one. You can be a minority and lose. But at least you'll have the courage and the satisfaction of saying, I said I didn't agree with this action, and I felt it was the best position. This baloney of everybody has to hold hands that's not the way government runs. Government is about checks and balances. And we don't have any checks and balances when everybody's walking in lockstep. So we'll see. They've all got a clean slate. Mm-hmm. And now we got to touch the school committee because we're running out of time. But we have 2 new additions to the school committee, which I think are,
Paul Coogan and Edward Costar.
Edward Costar, that's
okay.
right.
But again, we spoke about that email from Bobby Karam going out, yet Joe Martin, Melissa Karen Pansley, Mark Costa, re-elected. Again, that's the block of votes.
Was Joe Martins in that? I don't know.
No, he wasn't in that.
No,
he wasn't in that.
That's not
Joe Martins, I'm very happy went back in. But when you look at these votes and you look at these people that are on there, you got Paul Coogan and Edward Costar. All right? Mm-hmm. The rest of them basically stayed in place. It was Bob Maynard who was bounced. Okay? And, you know, you have to say, what's going on?
Well, you know, that's the thing. The thing is, the school committee, and a lot of people, you look at the vote totals, you know, a lot of people really, unless they've got a vested interest, there are many people in this community that believe that the school committee is basically an impotent body. Because of all the legislation and all the ed reform, they're basically hamstrung from doing anything.
Right.
And so a lot of people go, what the hell? But I'll tell you what, it looks like the way the votes are lining up, that Meg Mayo Brown may be gone, because there are some people here that are not big fans of Meg Mayo Brown.
Yep.
And by the way, I have to bring this up because I got an anonymous tip again, not, you know, and it wasn't just that the mayor found the office. This is a new one. We have to research this, but I have been told that Meg Mayo Brown has someone in a one-person classroom, in a one-person course. They created a course just for one individual.
Well, we'll have to look into that.
We're going to have to look into this. But, you know, we've got it out there, and if anybody knows anything about that to corroborate, please get it, give us more information. We will be checking into it. But, as you said, but look, they've all got a clean slate now.
Right.
Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when some controversial things come up. That's what we got to do. We're going to give them all a benefit of the doubt.
Yep.
But let's see how some of these people that were staunch supporters of Meg Mayo Brown, let's see the dialogue if her contract, it becomes an issue.
And the one thing that I want the school committee to know, and if you're watching it, I know you are, remember, your opinion does not matter. The people of Fall River are telling you they don't want Meg Mayo Brown. We had to do the same thing with Nick Fisher. What's it gonna take to drill this into your head? A sledgehammer? Get the message clear. They don't want her. And if you vote for her, just because you got reelected, doesn't mean that in September of 2017, they can't say, bye-bye.
And that goes for the city council. Let's see what happens. As I said, all these people, some of them like Cliff Ponte have no record, and Pamela Liberté. They've never been in Cabaceres. You know, they have no record. So now they truly do have a clean slate.
Right.
But it's always good to look at what happens when there's critical votes. Let's see what happens when there's something that there's pushback from opposite sides. When neighborhood associations are trying to lobby for something that may be not in the best interest overall of the city, like happened many times under the Flanagan administration.
Oh,
let's see what happens.
City councils did that.
And let's see what happens if labor unions get upset and begin pushback, and we see where everybody stands, if they're going to have the courage to do the right thing for the city, or if they're going to cave and succumb to the pressure. But, you know, it's a new day. Everybody, you know, you give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and it's a clean slate, even though you say, well, I'm not thinking this guy's gonna work out, but surprise me. Yeah. So we're gonna be watching, and we're gonna be holding you accountable.
I hate to cut you off, Chip, but I only got a couple of seconds. Lawrence made the paper again yesterday during Election Day. There's now 2 separate recall efforts against Mayor Rivera, and they only need to collect 5,645 signatures in 30 days, and they have 2 separate campaigns trying to do it. I'm wondering this time if they're going to be able to get him out of office.
Isn't it amazing? Lawrence is the only city that's worse off than Fall River.
I know. And guess what? It takes 2 teams to get rid of 1 mayor. So, you know, congratulations to the charter commissioners, you know, that were elected. Get some backbone. Hey, people, don't lose your attitude and being upset with what's going on. Remember, stay angry, hold the calm, and drive it right home. We'll see you on Friday.
Politicians only do what you make them do. Remember that.